Welcome to MELfeed.video. We are commencing a live web stream service via youtube.com from Echuca, Australia. We currently conduct these streams on Monday evenings, with other times to be added as more opportunities arise. Please visit our website MELfeed.video for further information. This web video project presents old and new community TV programs. Please enjoy your stay with MELfeed.video.
Hi and welcome to MELfeed for Monday the 7th of January, the first transmission for the year and number 36 in total. And coming up right now is NAT Chat, and that will be followed by NAT Chat Migration Stories with Richard Micallef, who unfortunately passed away just recently. Harmony and Diversity with Norm. Red Lobster Poetry, 15 Fabulous Minutes with Jacqueline and Steve, and then a repeat of Transports of Distant Delight, but there are some new episodes of that coming very soon. And then we close around about 10:45, and just letting you know that we will be starting repeating the Etc. series from around about 1999-2000. We've finally found the tapes. So we're just in the process of digitising some of those, and when we've got them ready, we'll be starting to show those when the current Migration Stories repeats finish, so you can look forward to them then. But now, it's time to go into NAT Chat, and I'll see you later in the night.
Welcome to NAT Chat. My name is Paul Spanos, and today we have Brittany Green with us. And Brittany, let me get this right, you are a Christian biologist and currently finishing your master's in the mechanical properties of eucalyptus trees.
Yeah, that's right.
A very famous tree in Australia. And let me start with the first question. First of all, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. And let me start with the first part of your identity here. Christian biologist, can you just define this for us?
Well, Paul, I love when people challenge me in the fact that I am a biologist or a scientist and a Christian, because in their minds they believe that the two are complete opposites, when to me they actually come together in a perfect relationship.
Okay.
What I mean by that is that I find myself studying not just biological things, but the world, and it's a discovery for me, and the discovery into the mysteries of God's creation.
Okay. Now, discovering means that you believe that things are already there, and but we do not have the whole wisdom about everything. But biology is part of the science that can discover things, isn't it?
Yes.
Can you talk to us about biology? What is biology? What biology deals with, just for the audience point of view?
Well, biology is a very broad term.
Okay.
It is, in definition, the study of living things.
Okay.
And the reason why it is so important is because it encompasses so many things that are important, not just in our lives, but in the whole aspect of the earth. So
we're talking about environment, isn't it?
Environment, it can go from viruses and sickness, human beings, oceans, trees. Everything is a living thing.
Okay.
It's a study of biology.
And now, from a Christian perspective, it's just the Christianity really. It's a part of how we translate who is behind everything, living thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more, instead of believing that we are creating the things, it's more of us finding out how things work, because they've always been here, like bacteria and microorganisms. You know, they aren't just appearing out of the blue. We're actually discovering that they're here by having more technology and advancing in medicine and things like that. So.
Do you find reasons for every living thing that you have discovered in biology?
Reasons
of existence?
Oh yeah, even the ones I don't like, perhaps, like spiders.
Okay.
There's always a reason for them, yeah.
That means there's nothing out of luck in the natural world, in the natural world.
If there is, it means we haven't discovered it yet.
Okay. All right. Because that gives us a little bit more about the definition of Christian biologists. But let me go into your story. How did you discover yourself that this is your pathway in life?
Well, I've always loved science. I've always loved animals and plants and nature in general, even when I was very, very young. I think some of my earliest memories were walking through the wilderness, very rugged wilderness, with my grandfather, and he knew lots of medicinal biology, which is different than regular biology. But just the amount of knowledge that he shared with me, to me, was very wise, and I really wanted not to just gain that wisdom, but it was just something that I realized the beauty of the wilderness, even though it can be dangerous and rugged and hard to survive in, is much more beautiful than living in concrete buildings. You
did not grow up in Australia, isn't it, based on your accent?
No, I did not.
Okay. Where did you grow up? Where did you...
I'm from the United States.
From the United States.
Yeah,
which area?
The Midwest. Okay.
And you discovered there the environment that was very attractive to you, so you became a biologist?
Yes.
Okay. Now, specifically eucalyptus trees, is it something that attracted you to this tree, or you just interested in a sort of a natural world, and you just as part of your study this one out of luck?
Well, I always found them quite fascinating and interesting and quite beautiful as well.
Okay.
But it wasn't my intention to actually study them. It was brought to me as a research group that needed a biologist's opinion, and they needed help. So I was up for the task, and I said, yeah, I'm interested in this, and I'll contribute.
And Australia is a very, very good environment to study eucalyptus trees. They are everywhere.
Yes, there's over 700 species.
Wow.
Yeah. 700
different species?
Just in Australia.
Just in Australia about eucalyptus trees?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That is very extraordinary. The only thing I know is about Blue Mountains, and I know about some other eucalyptus trees that they're very tall and can be very short as well. The only thing I knew that eucalyptus trees are only tall trees, 30, 40 meters high. Do they grow to any environment, or just... They're
very adaptable, yeah. So they can grow in a wide range of environments. They're native to Australia, most of the species. However, they're actually being implemented into many other countries for industrial reasons and for selling things like that. So they're actually becoming a bigger interest because of the types of trees that they are. And in Australia, it's all those species that people haven't realized their potential yet. So that's why I actually got into the position I'm in now.
We still have more potential than we already know.
Yeah.
Wow, biology, somebody told me that it never stops discovering things.
No.
And the books in biology become obsolete very, very quickly because new ones come on board, isn't it?
That's right.
Brittany, we're going to continue specifically about eucalyptus tree and things that you have discovered and you like about them shortly after the short break. Please stay with us. We're going to continue specifically about eucalyptus trees in Australia.
Hi, I'm Darren McElwain from AirFM Drive. You can tune into my show from 3 to 6 p.m. on 88.0 in Penrith and also on tunein.com. And apparently, we don't throw rocks. AirFM Drive.
It's easy for things to go wrong around water. More so if you can't swim.
It's great seeing kids confident in the water and enjoying themselves. An important part of keeping kids safer around water is learning to swim.
There are over 600 registered swimming schools that run the Australian Unity Learn to Swim program. To find one, go to the Swim Australia website.
What I love about Australia is Adelaide Central Market. It's where I grew up, hanging out with Mum and great Auntie Kim. I see a lot of migrants buying ingredients that they need to cook dishes that remind them of their culture. And I think that's why food is such a powerful thing when it comes to people understanding each other. On Australia Day, I'm going to come to the market, buy some beautiful produce, take it home, crank out the pizza oven and have a little pool party with my mates.
Get together on Australia Day. Go to australiaday.org.au to find out how.
It was a dark and stormy night in a bar over a strawberry margarita. Steve and Jacqueline had time to kill, so they decided to slaughter it. The result, 15 fabulous minutes. You be the judge.
Welcome back as we continue the discussion about eucalyptus trees with Christian biologist Brittany Green. Brittany, what really attracted you most about that tree?
Well, I really like the overall look of the most common species of eucalyptus trees is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is it has one stem, so one trunk, and it branches out, and the branches are fairly far apart from each other. And then the leaves actually grow down and they flow in the wind. So I love the movement that the tree makes. Not just the, of course everybody knows the smell, but the movement to me is very soothing, and it's almost like a willow tree, how the branches just kind of flow in the wind.
Okay. That's the viewing of the tree, isn't it?
Yeah.
But as you mentioned before, they use the perfumes and aromas with eucalyptus.
Yeah, that's right.
That means it's used for that as well. Apart the characteristics of the tree, is anything else apart from the viewing of it that it is strong characteristic of eucalyptus tree?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, they're actually being researched more and more, each species of eucalypt, and there are so many species, so it's going to take a while for all of them to be truly discovered. But they're being used in studies for plantation growth all over the world, mainly in Brazil and some in Europe and some in North America. But the plantation growth is actually interesting because they're not just looking for a tree that can be harvested. They're looking for a tree that can be harvested in a certain amount of time, that is resistant to drought and pests and other things that might harm it. That can be used for harvesting, not just for paper, but oil and production of medicine and things like that. And these eucalyptus trees are actually fitting into all of those categories. So they grow and mature within 10 years, which means they could be harvested in a decade. Which is one of the biggest factors, because most trees take more than 10 years to mature. But all the benefits that a eucalypt is having is showing us that they are very valuable as trees as well.
Yes, because if you have plantations around the world, the hardwood from eucalyptus trees must be very good quality.
Yes,
isn't it? And
very beautiful.
And obviously there is a quick to reproduce it.
And it protects our forests that are old growth by having these young eucalypt plantations that take the spot for harvesting old growth. So
okay, on the what is it? I have actually definitely, if I ask a koala, will be another good reason about eucalyptus trees, because they're getting fed by those trees and they love them in Australia. But there is a specific characteristics that in eucalyptus tree in relation to the fires that we do have in Australia as well. Can you elaborate on that?
So in just doing my background research and learning more about these trees, I've actually found that my favorite thing about these trees is the fire. So what happens with eucalypts is that bushfires are actually healthy for the tree's growth.
Oh.
And this was actually discovered.
How does this work?
Well, it is yeah, it's quite contrary to belief, but it was discovered by the Aboriginals, and they actually used to practice controlled bushfire with these trees because they knew that it was healthy for them. And the reason it's healthy is because what happens is the fire can actually burn away everything that's bad with the tree. So any rot, any pests, any just really bad limbs or anything like that that's affecting the tree's growth. But the inside of the tree is actually protected from that fire, the seeds and the internal growth of the trunk. So what happens is after the fire is gone, it looks blackened and dead, but when actuality it's alive inside.
But for the tree itself to have that protection of its seeds must be unique for the eucalyptus, isn't it? Or what is it in other trees as well?
For fire, yeah, it's very unique. So eucalypts have actually developed this adaptation over thousands and thousands and thousands of years where their seeds are protected from this harsh environment.
Wow, that is amazing, and that's why we can see in after the huge fires, you can see the eucalyptus trees sort of reborn, and they come up very, very quickly.
Yeah,
isn't it? Okay, and it is used for oil, as we sell, and medicine, as you mentioned before, and it is very durable to termites.
Yeah. And other pests, but a lot of different pests that attack normal trees, wood in general. Eucalypts tend to have their own sort of protection against them. Yeah.
How we use them apart from having plantations in Australia? Is there any other? Do we use in all these fields in Australia the eucalyptus trees?
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. They decorate the streets. They are used in. They're actually protected by some tribes. It just depends on the specific tree and the specific species. But most eucalypts, as native trees in Australia, are protected because they are native. Yeah.
They are protected, but as well as they're used for all these.
Yeah, very much like ornamental, decorative. For the urban life in the like cities, and they just grow naturally out in the country, and they're in the forests, but yeah, they're everywhere. So they're used in all sorts of ways.
It's quite good because Australia is sort of a vast country with a completely different climate from the north to the south. But eucalyptus tree looks like it's quite resilient to different types of environment, isn't it?
Yeah, they are found everywhere in Australia. So it's not just one region. They're found in the desert and they're found in the rainforests.
Wow.
So, like I said, 700 species is a lot. Each species is found in different areas, but a lot of the main eucalypts are found almost everywhere. So you can find them in a lot of different climates, which is why they're also a good tree for the plantation growth.
We're going to come back to be a little bit more critical view in relation to how we treat trees and the environment. And as biologists, I think your opinion will count more. And thank you for being with us. We'll be back with you shortly.
We've all seen this one time or another. We may even have done it ourselves. But inhaling balloon gas is very dangerous and can be fatal. The helium in balloon gas acts as an asphyxiant, and when you inhale, it displaces the oxygen in your lungs. Balloon gas is safe in balloons and when you release it in a well-ventilated area and in a safe manner. So the next time you see some sucker about to inhale balloon gas, or you think it's going to be a laugh, stop and be gas-wise.
Locals here made the shocking discovery this morning. Police have sealed off the entire beach.
There is a killer.
One of the worst killers in Australia. Skin cancer. Every year, skin cancer kills over 1,700 Australians. Don't be a victim. This summer, protect yourself against skin cancer.
Hi, I'm Lane Beachley. Australians have recycled enough printer cartridges to cover Bondi Beach 12 times. That's kept 11,000 tonnes of valuable resources out of landfill. Drop your used original cartridges into the special boxes at participating retail outlets, and they'll be turned into new products, from pens to road surfaces. Help us keep up the good work. Find out more at cartridges.planetark.org.
Transports of Distant Delight is a mixed selection of transportation pictures from here and there and almost everywhere, but not quite. Some quirky, some mundane, some from the past, perhaps reflecting a transit system that has vanished into history, and some from thriving transport entities that continue to endure despite the constant pressures from the all-pervasive motorcar. Enjoy.
Welcome back in our third segment today, and we're talking about the environment. We did discuss in relation things to biology and eucalyptus trees. Mm-hmm. But how good are we, Brittany, with the environment today?
Well, it's definitely a tricky subject.
It is.
I'd like to first start in a historical context.
Yes.
So, because I'm from the U.S., this is what I know. But in the U.S., we had a President Teddy Roosevelt. He actually created a Protection Act for natural parks.
Yes.
This created all the parks that are there today and that are still protected.
Yes.
Now, here in Australia, I don't know if you're aware, but just recently the government has actually declassified the Tasmanian forest, which means that they're no longer a part of that protective act that was adapted worldwide.
Okay.
Their reasoning was because they wanted it to be more available for people so that they could reach it and actually go into the wilderness. But what that also means is it gives them the liberties to destroy certain parts of the forest in order to create resorts and hotels to make it more available for these people. So that's why it's tricky, because we want people to fall in love with nature, which means they need to go to it. But at the same time, we need to protect these forests, because sometimes the wild is more beautiful than just something that we preserve.
And not protected means the environment is exposed to business oriented people to try to take advantage of the environment.
Exactly, yeah. Lots of loopholes.
Lots of loopholes. And then in what extent, and we have done this recently in Tasmania, haven't we?
It just happened like last month, that the government has switched the classification. It's being fought by environmental groups, but it's just recent.
Then in this case, we should expect something by next year, somebody to show interest how to take advantage of the natural world. They're talking about the whole of Tasmania or part of it?
Most of it.
Most of it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting to know that. But what is the value for us to protect the environment? From your perspective, what would be the benefit for us as humans, as opposed to do things as I please with the environment?
Well, in my opinion, my most magical memories have been either in the wilderness or in nature, or in a position where nature and human life combine.
Okay.
If you look at cities and things, it's all man-made, and those are all temporary environments.
Yes.
They don't last.
Yes.
And if you read stories and you watch movies and TV shows, and you see those storylines where people want to get lost. They don't want to go and get lost in a city. They want to find themselves in the wilderness. And that's really, I think, if you look at all the stories, that there aren't any where people go to the city to find themselves, honestly.
That means that I like that analogy. That means I can feel more connected with the mountain or the natural world rather than the cement city.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's something inside of us that craves that openness and that vastness. It shows us how small we really are.
And we feel more part of it rather than the short desires of living in a big, busy city. That's very interesting. Do we do things well with the environment at all? Do you have any good stories?
Yeah, look, there's tons of environmental groups, protection agencies, animal rights people, activists. There's definitely good things happening around the world. There's so many good stories that you could read about. But these good stories come from bad things happening. So you have these people who stand up for trees and for animals who can't speak for themselves because they're not protected or they're being abused in some way. So I think what it comes down to is just you have to educate yourself on what is happening in the world, because we are, as a society, we can actually be consumed with just ourselves, and we don't actually realize what's going on around the whole world.
Do you see any influence from your Christian ethics to affect the environment or to fight for the environment? Do you see your Christian ethics affect your just to protect the environment, put it this way?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole first part of the book of Genesis is about creation, but it's throughout the entire Bible. But I think my favorite example is a movie starring Sean Connery. Have you seen The Medicine Man?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
So you're familiar with the plot line and the story. And I'll just briefly say what it is, but it's basically about a scientist who finds the cure for cancer in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. But he doesn't know what caused the cure. He lost it. He didn't realize what it was. So as he's searching for this cure again, he's also fighting people who are destroying the rainforest and the village that he's living in. And it comes down to a climax. Yeah, exactly, for selling lumber. The climax is basically an explosion happens that catches the whole forest on fire right as he discovers the cure for cancer. So everything gets destroyed.
Even the possibility of
having the cure
itself.
And that pretty much is what I believe as a Christian biologist, is that everything here on the earth is created to provide for us food or medicine, cures, everything. We just haven't discovered
Christian
it.
ethics helps us to filter what is right, what is wrong with the environment, and just to be wise to do what is the right thing for the environment.
Exactly. It's having that wisdom to realize, it's out there. We just haven't discovered it. Yes. Or maybe we've destroyed it already.
Brittany, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for discussing about your passion about the trees and the eucalyptus tree and the passion as a Christian biologist. And we will be back with another program next week at the same time.
Multi-faith and interfaith is all part of harmony in diversity. Every Monday night at 9. Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
This repeat episode of NAT Chat Migration Stories is presented as a tribute to its host, Richard Micallef, who sadly passed away this last year.
Welcome viewers, and thank you for tuning in to NAT Chat and today's edition of Migration Stories. And my guest today is Mekonnen Kebede. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks,
and I'm so delighted to have a story from Ethiopia.
Thank you.
From an Ethiopian person who migrated here. Now, I know that was 1986 or so.
1985, 86,
so
I arrived in Australia. Yes.
And that's quite a while ago, but
is.
we're going to find it very interesting to hear your story.
Sure.
30 years in Australia. So upon arrival, what was in place to assist you as an arrival from Ethiopia at that time?
I didn't actually come directly from Ethiopia.
Right.
I had to leave Ethiopia, running away from the communist regime of Ethiopia, Mengistu Haile Mariam, and I had to go to Zimbabwe because of the atrocities that was committed in Ethiopia and that was happening at the time.
Yes.
So I came to Australia actually from Zimbabwe. Yes. I lived in Zimbabwe for about 3 years and did work as a teacher for O-level students whose exams used to come from Cambridge University at the end of the year.
Wow.
And I came to Australia. My story is not your typical migrant story. I actually came to Australia as a married person to an Australian. And my ex-wife used to teach with me at the same school. She was teaching English and I was teaching
Zimbabwe.
Yes, teaching biology. She was sent by the Australian government as an expatriate teacher to help the government of Zimbabwe. That was soon after independence. I arrived in Zimbabwe 2 years after independence, and countries like Britain, Canada, Ireland, Australia sent teachers and doctors to Zimbabwe to help them during the transition period from Rhodesia to Zimbabwe.
I see.
Yeah, because most of the trained manpower and migrated out of Zimbabwe, the white population. These countries contributed to keep the economy of Zimbabwe going.
Really?
Yes, yes. So,
and their independence was around that time?
Yes. Now, Zimbabwe became independent 1980. I think.
But just by the way, did you move, but you escaped Ethiopia?
Yes.
And that was across the border to Zimbabwe?
No. Zimbabwe is 5 hours flight from Ethiopia, Africa being such a huge continent.
It's huge, yes.
I had to fly out of Zimbabwe, out of Ethiopia.
Yep.
I had to apply for a passport through the communist regime, and I had to promised to stay out of Ethiopia only for 3 months and had to give a guarantor who can guarantee me for $25,000 if I remain out of Ethiopia, if I don't return in time. Yes.
Wow.
So, who was my brother-in-law. So I left for Zimbabwe and I didn't return. Yes.
But of course a whole new life started there and you met your future wife. And
certainly.
But I mean, was it dangerous to, be in Ethiopia at that time? Was it sort of physically dangerous for people there, or?
It was very dangerous.
Yeah.
The communist
What kinds
regime,
of things were happening there at that time, in
well,
the early 80s?
The government is a dictator. It's a military junta who overthrew a royal dynasty that ruled the country for more than 3,000 years.
I see.
And came to power by force.
Okay.
They were not democratically elected. So once they are in power, they were jailing and killing people without trial, and there was no justice. And
The government of Mengistu Haile Mariam actually quarreled with the intelligentsia of Ethiopia and with the students, and I think tens of thousands of students were killed while walking in the streets.
My goodness.
In the name of being against the revolution. They are called labeled as counter-revolutionaries. And some of my friends were killed. I was a school student. I was a grade 9 student at the time. And that continued until I went through university for about 5, 6, 7 years. Oh. And I was actually advised by my parents to leave the country if I want to survive, because most of my friends around me were being killed. So I left for Zimbabwe. I got an invitation from a cousin who was living in Harare.
Yes.
And I went there as a tourist. Then I applied to Minister of Education, and I did serve the Minister of Education of Zimbabwe as a teacher for 2 years. After which, I got married to an Australian and came to Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, in Zimbabwe, kind of a happy time? A much happier time for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Zimbabwe was not declining economically like now.
Yes.
It was soon after independence.
And they were rebuilding the education system because everyone had many people had left, I see.
Yes, okay. And it wasn't, the infrastructures were still there in existence.
Wow.
They didn't deteriorate as you see them now. And I had really one of my best time in Zimbabwe, which was very short, really, 3 years. I was just wandering around and visiting the different parts of Zimbabwe for 1 year. Then after, I got employed by the Minister of Education as a teacher, and I was teaching for 2 years, after which I left for Australia.
Well, Zimbabwe and the lifestyle there.
Yes.
Were there many Ethiopian people there with you?
No. You know, one thing I would like to mention is it was actually very rare to see Ethiopians out of Ethiopia before the communist regime.
So,
including Zimbabwe.
We'll come back to that
after
our break. So stick around, we'll hear more about this wonderful story.
I was in my 40s when I was first diagnosed with bowel cancer. George, my son, was 6 years old at that time. These days, like people of his age, he's very busy, but he still needs to find the time to get to know his bowel cancer risk. Is that right, George?
Yes, Dad. Bowel cancer affects 1 in 12 Australians, young and old, and is our second biggest cancer killer. But if caught early, bowel cancer is treatable and beatable. My dad is living proof of that. So get to know your bowel cancer risk. Talk to your pharmacist or GP about screening. Protect yourself and the ones you love. Go to lovemyfamily.org.au.
Are you playing renovation roulette? I'm John Jarrett, and I know that deadly asbestos lies hidden in 1/3 of Aussie homes. It can be found in any home built or renovated before 1987. Lurking in walls, under floor covering, behind tiles, in roofing. Asbestos, it was used everywhere. So if you're a renovator or a tradie, you could be risking your life and the lives of others. Remember, go slow. Asbestos, it's a no-go. Visit asbestosawareness.com.au to learn what you need to know.
We reckon one of the most powerful things in the world is this sausage. Because a sausage can do just about anything. It helps people to walk, see and hear, supports families after fire, drought and flood, and even helps plant trees in our community. Our sausages are working to cure cancer, helping farmers in tough times, and connecting people who are new to a community. And at the same time that they're doing all that, they're nurturing the leaders of tomorrow while building friendships that last a lifetime. Yep, these humble sausages are more powerful than you can believe. They're working wonders in our community. And at Lions, so can you. Lions Australia, we serve more than sausages.
Welcome back. We're with McConan, and you're telling us your story about moving from Ethiopia to Zimbabwe and then on to Australia.
Sure.
But there's a love story there too.
Yes.
And you met your Australian wife there in Zimbabwe.
Yes. Would you like to
tell us
hear
a little bit
more?
about that? Yes,
Sure.
please.
My idea and plan was to go to either Britain, to the United States of America.
Okay.
I didn't have Australia in mind.
Mm-hmm.
However, I met this Australian expatriate teacher and I fell in love.
Yep.
And we got married in Zimbabwe. She came back to her job here. She is a teacher as well here.
Yes.
And then I followed her. I arrived in Melbourne. I came to visit Zimbabwe in 1985, to visit Australia, Melbourne.
Yes.
And went back in 1985. Then I resigned from my teaching position and came here at the beginning of 1986.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So this is where we now have a wonderful story of those 2 or 3 decades.
Sure.
In Australia, with your background.
Yes.
And your history.
Yes.
What was it like being in a country where you don't have to fear and where there's full of opportunity? That was a good feeling.
It was an excellent feeling because people really don't know what the meaning of freedom is. Most people. It's a great thing to walk in the streets and not to be shot at. And
Simple
to
things
sit
like
at
that.
home and to expect a bullet coming through the window. So it was coming here gave me really full freedom.
Yes.
And
perhaps a liberation
also,
of spirit.
Certainly, and recover from the worries and the troubles I had.
I thought you were going to say traumas.
The
because
traumas,
it's very
yes, of
traumatic.
course. Yeah, it's very traumatic, especially seeing the body of your friends just in front of you, thrown in the street like dogs.
I'm so sorry that you saw that.
So that's really.
How long does it
good
take?
thing.
You never really overcome such trauma, but it did help a lot being here over time, and the trauma, the concerns and everything subsided a bit.
Sure.
And a new life was able to emerge, hey?
Certainly.
So how did you go about your initial sort of settlement? You had a wife here, you moved in with her?
I came into
housing?
a well-organized home.
Oh, wonderful.
And during the first year, because Ethiopia is not a member of Commonwealth, even if I was, Ethiopia is one country in Africa that has never seen colony.
Yes.
So it's not a member of Commonwealth because of that. And my education from the University of Addis Ababa was not really recognized here.
Like my father. Okay.
Yes. So when my wife went back to her profession, I had to work as a lab technician and audiovisual assistant for a private school in Berwick, which is under the Anglican Church, for about a year. And after which, I went back to Monash to upgrade my skills.
Yes.
And joined the university. I did a microbiology course, and I did a microbiology Bachelor of Science honors. And soon after I graduated, actually a month or so before I graduated, I was employed by an international organization as a medical scientist. Yes. And
so wonderful education and a whole new area,
Certainly,
building on your knowledge before.
Yes.
So, what are the qualifications that you have now?
Free education then, that gave me the chance to go back to uni and to do my education. I did my Bachelor of Science honors free. HEX was introduced when I was in my 4th year, but I was given scholarship, so that was free.
Yes.
Then while I was working as a scientist, I went ahead and did a Master of Science. So I had a Bachelor of Science honors, and a Master of Science. And I had another degree from Addis Ababa University, which is Bachelor of Science in Biology.
Okay.
And those are 4
Yes.
However, after 23 years of living well and working, which I'm very grateful for, because I was given a great chance, and I was actually promoted to a level of senior scientist.
Excellent.
Supervising 16 scientists and 3 technicians, and working hard to the health system of Australia, really, contributing immensely to society, both in community associations, as a board member for Cat Protection Society of Victoria. And,
which society?
Cat Protection Society, and later on for the primary health care, ICIS Primary Health, which
community
I still am
groups or non-government organisation groups.
A government organisation, really. It's funded by the Department of Human Services.
So you're the board members there?
Yes, and it gets...
Thank you for contributing all that here.
Thank you.
Excellent.
It's given around $30 to $40 million a year.
Oh, really?
As a budget, yeah.
And the area, field of their,
It's governance.
Yeah, governance
as
issues.
A board director.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
That's it. So I have been doing that, and I'm also one of the founding members of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the first one in Australia.
Okay.
And later on, I lost my job due to the global financial crisis and restructuring. Then I went back to Monash to do another degree, which is the Master of Education, which I have graduated in around 2 weeks ago. So,
well, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm looking for a teaching job now.
Yep.
And what I'm trying to tell you here is how much opportunity I was given by being in Australia.
It's an excellent answer to
and
this one
what
question.
A fair country it was to me. Yes.
Overall.
Yes.
That's great to hear. But we'll come back and find out a little bit more.
Thank you.
And I'm fascinated to know a bit more about your time in Australia. So do stick around, and after these announcements, we'll be back.
You're there when they can't sleep. You're there when they forget. But who's there when they're at school? Asthma can be serious. It affects 1 in 10 Australians and claims 400 lives each year. Does anyone at your school know what to do in an asthma emergency? Log on to asthmafriendlyschools.org.au and find out if your school is asthma friendly. Shouldn't every school be asthma friendly?
Every time you shop, the choices you make affect our community. It is important to select Australian products made by Aussie-owned companies. Our food security means quality and peace of mind. Your purchasing power keeps your dollars multiplying in our economy, keeping jobs, profits and decisions being made right here, which is better for your children.
So the next time you buy, look for the AusBuy logo. It makes all the difference.
Welcome back. We're with Buchanan from Ethiopia, but now from Australia, from Melbourne.
Yes.
Because you've been here 30 years, and you're just
31.
talking before that about now you're ready to teach a bit of all of your skills.
Sure.
So, What's your view of the youth in Melbourne and their general kind of, interest in the sciences and learning, and, what would you like to teach?
I actually specialized in primary teaching.
Wonderful.
Because what I would like to do is give a very good base to those who are growing up. I think the government is now introducing more and more science to the primary schools.
Yes.
So I do believe I would be very important
You'd be
there.
a great science teacher, a general teacher,
Yes,
but with an
yes.
interest in science.
Yeah.
How wonderful.
Yes,
That'd be great,
yes.
man.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll get a gig soon.
I hope so.
But all these other skills as well.
Yes.
But what about life for Ethiopian people in Melbourne? Are you aware of a subculture? Are most of the people, from, well, I know it's 30 years now, but you're still connected to Ethiopian community?
Yes, I am.
Do they live in a certain geographic area or not?
Yeah, most of them, I think it's because I got married to an Australian. I came directly to areas, the southeastern areas.
Yes.
And since then I have always been living in the southeast. But most of them seem to be settling in the western regions, like Deer Park, Caroline Springs, Footscray, Sunshine, Point Cook, all these areas.
Yeah.
And the Ethiopians are very social people. They always look out for each other. We actually in Ethiopia always have lived with harmony, the Muslim, the Christian, and whether you are Islam or Christian, we always look after each other, and we go and visit each other, and we try and maintain some parts of our identity and culture as well.
Of course.
By celebrating the New Year, by celebrating Christmas, Easter, and some of the Muslim holidays as well.
All right. And I know that there's a bit of celebration of Ethiopian coffee ceremonies.
Yes.
I forget who does it, but I've been at the Footscray.
Yes.
And, it's very sociable sort of a lifestyle. That
coffee is embedded in the social culture of Ethiopia as tea is to the Chinese or to the British.
Or the Mediterranean. We love coffee too.
Yes, and
but Ethiopian coffee particularly good.
Ethiopia is the origin of coffee. That's
but
what
there's
we
rituals
know.
Around it too.
Yes, there is ritual like the Japanese tea ceremony.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and coffee has to be served, and we burn incense. The frankincense is burnt while coffee is being served.
Oh really?
And a little bit of a piece of bread or some food is served.
What is the main type of coffee? Is it a percolator one or? Is
No. Coffee is actually, even in my house now, coffee is roasted in the house.
Wow.
And it's ground in the house, and it's actually made in the house.
Yep.
We use an Ethiopian clay pot.
Oh, wow.
Ethiopian made clay pot at home. And you cannot believe the taste is so different from the cafe lattes and flat whites you eat. You drink in restaurants.
I'll ask for it.
I think you can only get it from Ethiopians.
I better find some more Ethiopian people, but I do enjoy going to the western suburbs. Is there a main festival event or an annual event that Ethiopian people come together?
Certainly.
When's that?
When it comes to the general Ethiopian population, which includes the Muslim and the Christian and all
living
others, the
together,
agnostic, the New Year is our main holiday, and the Ethiopian Community Association in Victoria invites dignitaries from the government organization and gathers the people, and that happens in the West as well in function rooms.
And that organization, Ethiopian Association, that's based over there in the West?
Yes, it's based, it doesn't have a permanent open office, but it's based there.
All right.
And when we founded it in 1985 and incorporated
you were one of the
myself
founders?
And 45 of us all in all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
It was actually, we did get great help from the Footscray City Council, meeting rooms, and some assistance was provided by them.
Well, I was interested there to find out what assistance there was. So it's great to hear that councils do this important work.
They do.
But here in Australia, sometimes there's elements that say, why are councils doing this sort of thing? And I find it remarkable, like whenever people criticise why councils are getting involved with, setting up organisations and things, but that's exactly what they should be doing for their local communities.
Sure, but I would like to, it's really a great thing that they are doing that, and why not, really?
Yes.
Why shouldn't they? But I would like to point out that while all this is gained and we are happy, there also is a social problem among the community. Many youngsters are actually going out of line and becoming especially mental illness, and which destabilization cause is a huge problem.
So that's one of the main focuses on the Ethiopian Association.
It's not really very functional. It hasn't grown as well as we expected it to.
So it's a current problem, of course.
It is a current problem, and I wish if something could be done about it, but I don't know what we can do, really.
Well, maybe it's an area that we need to think a bit more about.
Yes.
And certainly if there's people with ideas there, just email me with the email when you see the credits, but there's much work left to do.
Yes.
But what parts of Ethiopian culture could help those youths who are going off Australia?
I suppose it's loss of sense of belonging, loss of sense of identity. These are the things. So what really would help would be not trying to spread and expand the Ethiopian culture, but trying to integrate the new arrivals.
Make it at home here.
Yes.
Give it a home here.
That's it.
Thank you so much, McConan.
You're welcome.
I so appreciate you being here, giving us this time.
Thank you for giving me the time and listening to my voice.
Well, it's great to have a program like this. It's great to have a guest. It's great to have Channel 31, and it's great to have Northern Access TV producing today's program of Migration Stories. I'm Rich Micallef, and I hope you can tune in again next week.
Fabulous minutes every week. Meet the famous, the fortunate and the fashionable as Steve and Jacqueline take you to all the events around town. Not to be missed, it's the most fabulous 15 minutes you'll ever see.
Every minute.
Every hour.
Every mother and father.
Every sister and brother.
Every son and every daughter.
Everyone you see.
Everyone you cheer.
Everyone you watch.
And everyone you hear.
Everyone you meet.
Everyone you know.
Everyone you love.
Everyone is affected.
Reach out and get connected.
Coming up next here on Monday the 7th, Harmony University, and then Red Lobster Poetry. Then 15 fabulous minutes, followed by Transports and Distant Delight, and at 10:45 we close for the night.
Alleluia. Om Mani Padme. Om. Allah
Welcome. You're watching Harmony and Diversity. And today the program is an interview with Anne Lastman, who's a post-abortion grief counsellor. Last week we were speaking with Anne in relation to her spiritual background and what caused her to become a grief counsellor. Thank you again, Anne, for coming.
Thank you for asking me.
We have a website, and that website's called Victims of Abortion. And you were the principal person behind that. Give us a bit of a story about Victims of Abortion.
And my son is the designer.
Your son is a designer. So
he's
it's
a clever little
business.
Vegemite. He's a clever little person. He's 6'4", and he designed the front cover of my book too.
Good.
But the website came about with, it's not up to date because Luke is setting up his business at the moment. A few other writings, and I'm still waiting to put on the Charles Francis Award information and some other later information. Victims of Abortion came out of the work that I do post-abortion, but it's a broader thing. Because victims, abortion hasn't just got two victims. I know that we're pushing two victims to an abortion, the woman and the child, and that's true. In the immediate, there is. But there are more. There's a huge number of victims of abortion to one abortion. There's a father.
Yes.
There's grandparents on both sides.
Yes.
There's aunties and uncles. There's cousins. There's, in fact, I've got a young lady that I deal with now every week who grieves every time there's a family gathering because of her little nephews and nieces. And her 3 should have been there also, but they're not there. There's cousins. There's friends at work who knew. The victims to one abortion are not just two, the baby and the mother. They're the first two.
Yes.
But then surrounding, what about Dad, the father? The father is a very important part of an abortion, even though he takes his wife, which is very disastrous for marriage, his girlfriend, which is disastrous for a good relationship, or fiance to abort their baby. It's very disastrous to that relationship. He takes it to the abortion clinic, not realizing what he's doing, that he himself is so important to the life of that in utero child. He doesn't know, or maybe he doesn't want to know, that it is because of him that the baby actually lives within the womb. Because I've got a study that I've read, but it's been out 5 or 6 years, from Professor Frederick Zujibi, which says that it is written within the male genetic material that instructions are to build the amniotic sac for the newly formed child so that it's not expelled by the mother's body as a foreign object. Now look how important that is. A man protects and builds a house for his baby right from the beginning.
Yes.
So when I hear it's her body, I'll support her, whatever she wants to do. It's her, well, yes, darling, it is her body. But you've created this baby, and you've built a house big enough for her to protect the baby inside of her. Without you and your instructions in your genetic material, the baby would have been expelled, because the mother's body would have seen it, as with all other foreign objects. We know that all the white cells get into action and get rid of foreign bodies. So it is something within the father that sets up the protection for this baby. So how can you say, I'll go along with whatever her decision is, as if it doesn't matter to him. It matters a lot. And this is where I think, you know, in the Garden of Eden, it says that Adam was absent.
Yes.
Well, what do you think he's doing now? He's absent again. He's nowhere to be seen where it comes to abortions.
Yes.
He takes her there, helps to pay for it at times, at other times he doesn't. Medicare does that. And then he goes away.
Yes. There's an implied, we were talking about grieving earlier, even though the male may not be conscious of that information, and it would be very good if they were, maybe there's a subliminal grieving in a male because his intrinsic entity knows what you've just described.
Of course he knows. And if he doesn't know it at that moment because he's perhaps a young person, hasn't thought about it, and it's too much to think about.
Yes.
At a later point, when he has a child, when he sees the birth of a child, his own child maybe, with a future child,
yes,
then the memory comes back. This is the awful part about abortion grief.
Yes.
That it doesn't have to start immediately, because immediately that means all the problems are gone. I don't have to stay with her anymore. I don't have to worry about it anymore. But at a later point, perhaps he can't have another child.
No.
And remembers the one that he aborted.
To be aborted. Time is upon us. We'll return to that. We'll be back in a moment.
If a man's home is his castle, his shed is his kingdom. It's a place men can hang out with a few mates, build a few things, even if you haven't before, and give back to the community. No man should be without a shed. The Australian Men's Shed Association is working to provide a shed for all Australian men, and they have over 400 already. Visit your local shed, build your community, and make a difference. Find a shed near you. It's time to give back.
Every time we buy certified organic, we're making a choice to help our environment and build a healthier community. But it can be hard to know that what we're buying is truly organic. The Australian Certified Organic logo is only given to products after a very rigorous process. So when you see this logo, it means you can trust that there are no genetically modified foods, no animal cruelty, and no harsh synthetic pesticides used. A healthier community is always better for our future. So the next time you shop, look for this logo.
If you were living on the streets, wouldn't you want more than just your best friend to keep you safe, warm and dry? Donate to Backpack Bed for Homeless and give warm, waterproof protection and dignity tonight. Call 1300 OzHelp.
Come on, fellas. Let's get down there.
Hang on. Where's Dave?
Oh, hey, fellas. What do you think? Pretty cool, eh?
Real men look out for each other. Don't let your mates drink and drown.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and I'm speaking with Anne Lastman, who is a post-abortion grief counsellor. And you covered a very important point, which was the breadth of the impact of an abortion. Now that's the interfamilial element. To what extent do you think that extends on into society at large, the grief I'm talking about, and also the negative influence? Because somewhere there's an engine which is driving this pro-life legislation throughout the world. What do you think that engine might look like? Does it have a component of people do it, so therefore it's okay, or what would you say?
That is probably the most common thing. It's become legal. So, you know, it's a little bit like the lights, the traffic lights. We go with green and stop with red, and maybe possibly with amber. We don't know which way we'll go with that. But with green we go because everyone goes with green. This is what the problem is. We have normalized abortion. Abortion has become, I don't even believe that when we say the word abortion, we even know what it means anymore.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
It's become so common.
Yes.
It's just a word.
Yes.
How many people, I wonder, out there, even looking at me speaking, and say the word and see what it actually means. I have been following that abortionist in America and his doings, Kermit Gosnell. I can say the name because it's publicised, okay?
Yes.
It's public knowledge. Why is there no horror with the normal media? Why was it only through LifeSite News and Life News and other pro-life news that we hear of him snipping spines of children, of cutting their limbs, of killing them while they're still crying? Why don't we hear about it? The media, it's to the normal media, it's it's a woman's choice. It's lawful to 40 weeks. If it wasn't legal and lawful and okay for women, well, it wouldn't be. I found it most interesting, Norm, that we had that horrible, tragic incidents of the Boston issues.
Yes.
And all the American media and the president and everybody turned up. Australia, all over around the world. And yet this guy's been killing both women, because he's also charged with murder of a woman, and babies, viable, living, babies that were born alive after an abortion procedure. And he snipped their spinal cords, cut off limbs. Why isn't the normal media shocked?
Yes.
And that's because abortion has become normal. Killing babies has become normal.
I think that there's a parallel here with the recent furor about cattle in Indonesia, and recently I think it's in Pakistan. The organisation interested in that has vision, and it's the vision which then motivates people when they see an animal being badly treated. If they had vision of any abortion, but vision of that particular fellow's work, you might find that there would be a furor about it, because politicians and lawmakers would have to respond. So do you think it's that distancing? It's because it's legal, then there's a distancing from it. There's nobody who goes in undercover into an abortion clinic and actually takes photographs.
They have actually done YouTubes of some going in undercover and shown what his actual facility, called the House of Horror, looks like, and what it looked like.
Right.
So, but still the media, YouTube, this is YouTube, still the media, no response.
Not picked it up.
No, they haven't. And that, it's my opinion, a very humble opinion, is because of the feminist movement behind, don't you laugh at me, behind this whole projection that is this, it is a battle between the feminist and the feminine.
Yes, exactly.
Can you see the difference?
Absolutely.
One is the feminist is fighting and is saying, I will not serve, non servum est. The feminine is suffering.
Yes.
This is the battle that's being waged at the moment. And until there is a resolution and the feminine increases in power, I'm sorry, I don't see a change.
No, it comes down to an issue of political correctness, because there's not many media entities who would be prepared to take the feminist movement on. No. So it's really a matter of lack of what's cowardice, really. But it is that issue of political correctness which stands in the way.
And in the meantime, we have babies, including here in Victoria, who are born alive after abortion procedures and not helped because the parents have asked for a dead baby. The 19-week recent, a week ago, that Dr. Hobart was involved with, the gender selection issue.
Oh, yes.
About
yes.
2 weeks ago.
That's right.
19 weeks. The abortion happened.
Well, because gender selection opens up another story altogether.
Why are we surprised with that?
Well, exactly. And why are we surprised at the fact that the time has passed as well? So we'll take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Statistics show 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually assaulted before their 18th birthday. Help break the silence on child sexual assault. Go to bravehearts.org.au.
Most of us experience life's ups and downs, but we can always appreciate the finer details that make life worth living. But for 1 in 5 of us, mental illness can make us lose sight of the big picture. That's when Paran Mission can lend a helping hand. We've been caring for the community for over 60 years, finding a place for people with no place. Show your support and stand up for mental illness. Visit our website and make a donation today.
Here is some brilliant news for adults who have difficulties with spelling, reading a newspaper or phone bill, or writing letters and emails. It can be easier to improve your reading and writing skills than to keep putting it off. Take the plunge. Call the Reading Writing Hotline, 1300 655 06.
1300 655 06.
It could change your life.
Here are the current weather readings for Melbourne, Geelong, Ballarat, Shepparton, Bendigo and Echuca on the MELfeed video weather wall. It also includes tomorrow's forecast and expected minimum temperatures in these areas overnight. This is the MELfeed video weather wall on a different sort of TV. MELfeed Video.
Welcome back. You're watching Harmony and Diversity, and I'm speaking with Anne Lastman, who's a post-abortion grief counsellor. And there's an article called a New Abortion Mental Health Study, and from September 2011 there's this article, and if you bear with me, I'll just go through what it indicates to be some of the consequences of abortion. It's a fairly detailed study by Dr. Coleman, with whom I'm very sure you're very familiar. But just to refresh the figures for you, 81% increase in mental health problems for women post-abortion. 10% of all women's mental health problems are directly linked to that. 10% of all mental health problems. And her research then goes on to indicate there's a 34% increased risk of anxiety disorders, 37% greater risk of depression, 1.1 times greater risk of alcohol abuse, and 2.2 times greater risk of marijuana use and abuse. Now there's some pretty extraordinary figures, and then there's one I'm missing, is 1.5 times greater risk of attempting to commit suicide.
Suicide, yes.
Now you've dealt with a large number of women.
Yes.
How do those things fit in with your experience?
All of them. I've encountered every
Right.
one of them. And in fact, I think the most gruesome encounter I've had, and that is with self-mutilation, which
really?
she didn't mention. One of my clients actually brought in a blade and cut herself, her tummy.
In your presence?
In my presence.
Good heavens.
She hated her tummy so much, but she had 4 abortions. And she sat there, and I was not expecting anything like that. But I thank God for training, because I was able to say, okay, there's some tissues there. Get control over the situation. There's some tissues there. Put it over there and make sure you don't mess with my carpet, because I've got to get it cleaned if you do.
Yes, diversion.
And
yes.
What that did was take away some of the stress that she was feeling at the time.
That's incredible.
And I said, okay, now do up the zipper. We'll put some tissues, and I'll take you to get it seen to. Now, this is this inner stress, the inner boiling that goes on inside. For those who say that there is no abortion after effects, I know the American Psychological Association says really there is not much, no problem with abortion, that there is no problems. Well, I'm sorry, I argue with them completely. Yes. There is enormous trauma with abortion.
Yes. I'm just rustling papers here, which
That's
is
okay.
Which is bad for
you can rustle
for the sound. But I just felt that I needed to pull out Better Health, which is a government website, which says that abortion doesn't cause ongoing emotional distress for most women.
Yeah.
Isn't that unfortunate if you're not one of the most?
Now, 10%. Let's be as conservative as those figures of Dr. Coleman say. That 10% overall of all mental health problems of women are related to abortion. Okay,
huge.
10% every year. That means 10,000 a year in Australia every year.
Yes.
Okay, over 10 years, that's 1 million. No, 100,000.
100,000, yes.
Okay. Now, globally, we have over 50 million abortion a year that we know of. Now, what does that say, 10% of that say?
Good heavens. It's a lot of people.
Okay, so the government says only some. And who are the some?
That's right.
Who do they declare are the some who would be?
And who are they not identifying? Because not everybody's going to express it. No. They'll carry it, but they'll not express it.
Most psychologists, psychiatrists, even counsellors aren't interested in this. They won't look. They prefer to look at what mother did when she was a 4-year-old child and put her in a bedroom as a punishment, rather than look at what could be a cause like an abortion at 17 years of age, and was too afraid to tell mum that she had an abortion. Do you know, I had a client who was 85 years old.
Good heavens.
Okay. She grieved from 17 to 85.
My goodness. That's a huge amount of emotional energy.
Yeah. She grieved, how many is that? 67 years of grieving, and carried that in her heart. She named her child. She knew it was a girl. And she was afraid to die because she would be hated by her daughter.
Good heavens. That's terrible. The substance abuse. What
kind of?
Kind of is the main one.
Mostly I've encountered drink.
Right.
Drinking. Marijuana occasionally, that's more with the younger ones.
Yes, yes.
The older ones are medications, prescription drugs, and drink.
Yeah.
But the younger ones is more marijuana.
Marijuana, yes, because that's the drug
easy.
Of the time in any event.
And ice. I've got now. I'm getting some.
Well, that's a serious issue. Ice is a serious issue, and time is a serious issue.
Again.
Now, what we've got is I believe we could speak on, and I'd very much like to do that. So, will you be able to come in for another program?
Okay.
Appreciate that, Anne.
Welcome.
You've been watching Harmony and Diversity, and I've been speaking with Anne Lastman, a post-abortion grief counsellor. We'll see you next week.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om, Allahu
I was diagnosed with Parkinson's at 27.
I was 46.
I was 62.
The first symptom I noticed
Was loss of balance.
Was that I was always tired.
was a loss of smell.
The most difficult thing for me is not to be able to travel in my retirement.
The most difficult thing for me was giving up a career that I loved.
The hardest thing for my mum was being pregnant with me.
Playing the 80s on Air FM 88.0.
Hi, this is Darren McAlane from Air FM Drive. Join me from 3 to 6 p.m. every afternoon on 88.0 in Penrith, and also you can catch me on tunein.com. That's from 3 to 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Playing the 80s on Air FM 88.0.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
If poetry is fire, then consider this kindling. This collection of expression inflames me as these words spark ideas infernal to make the paper burn beneath the pen in my hand. If poetry is fire, I walk around town looking for a match. If poetry is water, then this is my ocean, Surrounded in this flow of words, washed in the tides of inspiration, waves of speech streaming through my mind. If poetry is water, I think I may well drown and die content. If poetry is earth, then this is my domain. In amongst the hills and forests and pleasant green lands, phrases shift tectonic, grinding the literal and verbal landscape. If poetry is earth, every mote of dust shall bear contemplation. And if poetry is air, please listen to the sound of my breathing.
One dark horse and one light horse, we spat cruel words and we slammed carders. You were 23, I was 17, left the engine running and you followed me across the land tree thick and the mud shin deep, and you sang sadly how we could not keep our bad blood clotting, nor the doubt stifled. I said nothing and we climbed higher to watch one dark horse and one light horse, the breath desperate as our own breath was. I was 17, you were 23, we saw one break loose and one broken hidden. I don't remember hunger. I don't remember feeling light. I don't remember burning up like Berlin or falling like some fierce thing that you brought down with your bare hands in the back room at the 5th round. I don't remember towers and I don't remember bells, so how about you just tell it how it was? No full moon. 3 a.m. phone calls and your headlights in my drive. Just you singing in my kitchen on some night. And there's no photograph to prove it, no documents attached, just this tune I can't remember when I try to hum it back. But that's enough to work with. It's enough to kick us off, so how about you just tell it how it was? Just you and me and Jose Cuervo made it easy. But now when you speak of my lips, you never mention those splits we drank into the sides of my mouth. Or how we traded our histories to read much the same story, how to pick up a bottle and drink when you're sorry, and drink when you're losing, and drink when you're lonely, and drink when you're not. Just in case. No, now you throw me these words because I'm supposed to have faith in them and they're fine and they fit well. I just don't taste any truth in them. Why can't you tell it how it was with all the shit that came after, when you called me a bitch and I called you a liar, till we woke up the neighbours and the cracks in the plaster were filled up with bitter asides and the moonlight stayed out of it but the street light took sides. But all the best shows I've seen were staged in that room from the brown leather couch in the middle of June. It was all empty glasses and secondhand smoke, but the audience loved it and nobody noticed when we slipped into drunken, ranting vernacular. And I think it's great, by the way, how we've both stayed in character. Went in to tell it how it was and the applause died away. And they turned up the house lights and packed up the stage, hauled down the backdrop, ripped up the score, and we shook hands like strangers when I showed you the door. And after you'd gone, I listened at the cracks in the wall to hear what was left, just one side of a phone call. Made late one night some cruel words in this tune I could never get right. But I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry, so just tell it how it was.
Sit, you pompous git, he spits, scolding black and cold, the old battle drawn, a picture of generational angst, a bitter menace to threefold marigold trip. Titch, his trip switch towards a dagger. A digger hoists a white flag and throws down a leather glove, and from above curses the percussive dance of rails on a power line. A fist, a tryst, dissolving in a mist, a Caesarean cyst of missed opportunities and words broken into their numerous parts. To cycle again, the slaughter of man. A contraption is but a beggar's bodkin. Seething is the vision of an object, and yet a beanbag yields no stalks. A crowd gathers round, and he is patient, for there is no finer skeptical. He went on a sabbatical and never returned. An interstellar void, an academic black hole, a vacuum cleaner. Teardrops are saltier than blood, but ink is more viscous, and words are more vicious. What did you say? What did you say? This casserole's delicious. Thank you.
Had enough of the bad news about carbon dioxide and climate change? Wood is one solution. Trees take CO2 from the air and store it in their wood. They're also renewable, unlike concrete and steel. But the wood you choose should be recycled or from certified plantations or forests. This helps protect areas of high conservation value. So next time you're building or buying something, make it wood and do your world some good.
So, you think you're ready for this?
To take on the world? Why not?
I got my big break about 5 years ago.
My big break came 10 years ago.
I got my break about 8 years ago.
If you're over 50 and have recently had a bone fracture from a minor bump or fall, you may have osteoporosis.
If you've had one break from osteoporosis, there's a good chance you'll have another.
Find out more, talk to your doctor, or call Osteoporosis Australia today.
Don't wait for your next big break.
Now on MELfeed Video, here are the latest Monday Tats Lotto results just drawn a short time ago under government supervision. All results shown are subject to confirmation. We hope that these numbers brought you a little bit of luck tonight. If not, there's always next week. Stay tuned to MELfeed Video for more great programs this evening.
That's right. Very new actually means this is my first feature ever. So if my legs are shaking, that's intentional. And if you'd like to buy me a drink afterwards, I would really appreciate that. I thought for some demented reason it would be easier to read one long poem than a whole lot of shorter poems. And I had memorized it before I had a bottle of wine to calm my nerves. So I'm just going to read it from here. So here goes, I guess. It's 4 a.m. A cold night in June, and the last trees are starting to give up their dead. I can't sleep and wonder where you are. The last one was tattered, bruised by a rough journey, its sheets cheap and thin like the sheets of our bed. You couldn't write what, you could barely write where, and the lines of dull ink have been cried on and bled into small pools of black like the black hearts of stars. It's the same moon that we're looking at. A cheap wartime song for a pantomime war that plays out its first acts on a place far from here where the telegrams flutter on other wives' doors. You have gone, God knows where, for a fake war played out, for a debt to our blood, to our crown and our way, but a blood debt's a bloody great debt to pay. In the cold of our bed, the debt seems unbearably large. Your pillow is crisp and is missing your head. The sandy curls are gone. It kisses air instead. Each day is the same day. I'll wake to it soon when 4 a.m. has begun to wane and the curve of your spine and the knobbly bones will rise to my fingers as I transcribe lines. A nice girl shouldn't read what they actually say on keys worn to smoothness by countless war stories. I'll knit in the evening. I'll wait for the mail. On a good day there's milk. The bread is always stale. I type your name. I type your name. The letters rise up into me. The keys clatter and shriek and your absence shivers through me. On Sundays the collection plate clatters with shrapnel. The vicar wants to give alms to the needy, but it's arms that are bleeding and psalms that are needed. For boys who are no longer lining the streets, no longer curled up in the warmth of their beds. The troops are receding, their hearts on their sleeves, flesh torn in pursuit of other men's glories. Flinders Street rain falls like slate, boxing us in, wiping footpaths clean. In the tram, heat steams off us, rising up to fog the glass, keeps the city shrouded as we rattle past. Inside, it's a jungle of women and soldiers, tangled up in bamboo mornings, reading rice paddy newsprint. The conductor's a woman. Her stockings are real. She smiles and we talk. She lives in my street. She dances a little on the side. I'm assured that I'm welcome any time. And I'm tentative, but something about her intrigues me. And your warning bell whisper is gone from my ear, and the typing pool only gets you so far. So I comb my hair after work and meet her there. And, the warmth, it's like stepping back in time to the sweeping hot days on your grandfather's farm, except the smell is so much stronger here. It's the cigarette, damp carpet sizzle and hiss. It's the first electric light after years spent lighting gas lanterns and watching them fizz out. I could be alive here in this damp carpet room, its voluptuous warmth and its jazz and its flesh. So much skin. I am in a room full of skin with tobacco and nylon and night creeping in. And it's hot like Christmas. At the foot of the mountains, the fire racing towards us and the crack of feathers sparking and bursting into flame. The firebirds hurling themselves to the sky, spinning like Catherine wheels all the way down. It's hot like the countryside, parched after fire when you move to the city, and then across the sea to meet the faceless dawn. I learnt how to type and soldiered on. Here it's hot like the hot shores of wherever you are. I suppose if it's cold here, it's hot where you are. And smoky, the gauze that hangs over the room gets into my lungs and my eyes, and my hair wraps its tendril hands around me and carries me into this shabby room filled with its women and men. And these girls, these girls, they know how to pass time, all feathers and hair and the kind of crude pout that makes a woman doubt herself. These are girls like the girls in the back of those cars you think I don't know about. It's not just the room that is hot. Blood floods to my cheek in an Irish suntan, and I should probably go, but it's so. And I'm not. But I stay. This is war after all, and the lights have gone down. There's a girl up on stage. Japanese, they say half if that, but she begins to move, and I'll tell you, she's certainly exotic. She rides and rolls her oriental eyes, points her breasts like torpedoes to the western skies, her fleshy Matahari guys evoking spies. Her bullet brow is far more deadly than 3 sunken subs in the Sydney harbour, plummeting into the watery north. Besides, the punters know her worth. She's rolling like the salty waves. We've pushed out to shore, and we're not sure where the shore is anymore. Just lights and brine and siren song, and I could stuff my ears with wax, but music seeping through the cracks, and I don't think that I could quite ignore this anymore. It's too loud to think. Ships will sink. Ships will sink. I scrutinize the crowd, and it's raucous, it's rowdy, and noise is so much a blessing after all these months of silence. It's flesh. This flesh and warmth, it's so far from my life, but I could be one of those girls. I could be on the back of your playing card, shuffled out to the rest of the troops. I could be alive for you. Now the music twines round me, gets under my skin in the haze of old smoke and the quiet sob of gin. I don't usually drink. I'm a little befuddled, and the room seems to lift, and it carries me home on the last rattling tram. The floorboards creak, and the dark settles over the room. There's a chill in the air, and it hangs like perfume. And it's 4 a.m. I got back at 2 with the hot well of music keeping me up and the charcoal line smearing the back of my legs. And I never expected that kick to the gut, and I don't know how you would react to the fact I've been somewhere like that. But it's cold here. And it's cold, lonely work, traipsing through every day on a crust and a prayer, knowing when I get back I won't see you here. And I will be the demure girl you married. I will be the girl on the back of the playing cards. I will be your ace of hearts or your goddamn quiet girl if you will just get back. There's a telegram here. It sits to my right. It's been here all day. I've been up all night, and it's 4 a.m. It's 4 a.m, a cold night in June, and the last leaves have started to give up their dead. It's 4 a.m, and I can't sleep. I can't sleep and wonder where you are.
Juggling work and caring for Mum can be overwhelming. Having an understanding employer and access to support helps. I love my Mum. I just wish I had some time to myself.
It's barbie season, so it's time for a barbecue safety check. Clean away any grease buildup. Swap systems assure that the bottle inspection is in date. The bottle should be upright and not hanging by the hose. And make sure your regulator and hose is undamaged, unblocked and unkinked. Check connections using soapy water. When done, turn off clockwise at the bottle first. A quick Barbie and gas safety check always means a safe and enjoyable summer.
Behind every great athlete, there is a great support network. Australian Athletes with a Disability and Wheelchair Sports Australia help athletes realise their full potential.
Gonna go from 3. Yes!
No matter their ability, we're there to support them. Sporting opportunities for all abilities. For more information, visit sports.org.au.
Tick, 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 fashion.
Tick, 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 fun.
Tick, 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 food.
Tick, 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 festivals.
All make up 15 fabulous minutes.
In a half-hour special.
Presented to you by Jacqueline and Steve.
Every week. Time's up.
Tomorrow's ghosts, ciphers in the audience, unnamed pieces of an anonymous whole. Tomorrow's ghosts, never asked for names, unknown others filling police lineups. Slaughtered as collateral for future sacrifices, bodies buried in the name of whatever soil covers them. Their fates swallowed by the constant roar of static, their touch of fame, a single frame in a film. Some of tomorrow's ghosts approach markets wreathed in explosives, wrapped in shrapnel. Some of tomorrow's ghosts cover the homeless in blankets.
Juggling work and caring for Mum can be overwhelming. Having an understanding.
Lighting candles for someone whose name they know. Phone books are filled with the names of tomorrow's ghosts, unlauded masses forming unconscious rank and file, standing shoulder to shoulder at peace rallies, protest marches, football games, funerals. You wait behind them in the queue. You watch them as they overtake. You stop to let them cross the road. You cannot put a name to a face. You are lost amongst tomorrow's ghosts.
I'm going to do a quite an old poem that I wrote a fair few years ago when I used to live in St Kilda. I live next to a seemingly madman at the moment who yells out in the middle of the day and just yells. I've never seen him. He's been there for ages. Just hear him yell things out. He might be here. I don't know what he looks like. And but it reminded me that in St Kilda I used to live next to a guy who used to yell things out in a foreign accent, and he used to go for long walks in the night, and I sort of wrote this poem. The last ray of Thursday stretches like a tired boy and pierces purple skies and stabs its yellow fingertips into the squinting, wrinkled eyes of Mr. Descartes. Mr. Time in his hands in his pockets. Pockets are crammed with cigarette papers and a broken lighter, with holes and a pencil, $5 plastic, a couple of cents, the general requirements for another all-nighter. Another nowhere to go where you please don't rain. Captain Cook and Mr. Descartes stand on St Kilda Esplanade as still as each other, and as cold as each other, and sturdy and stained and old as each other. Watch oil black waves lap soft on silted sands and clap their salted hands on ancient wood rot St Kilda piers as the last of the ancient St Kilda deers scurry home, chattering and rushing home to beat the night. Mr. Descartes scratches black and white stubble and he smiles at a loving couple of seagulls as they glide slowly out of sight. And under the sad, stern eyes of Captain James, he turns to discover the night. And he sings to himself about 1,000 tears for my darling this morning and 1,000 tears today. She makes me cry as I remember her calling 1,000 miles away. They're all drunk and their derelict hours hanging around the clock towers, 4 jaundiced faces. One's fast, one's slow, one's stopped at 11 o'clock. One's at 9:26, one's at 12:34, and below them all, Mr. Descartes roars out the dregs of his lost lullaby as he ponders a bottle of $3.95. Special. Nestled in his fingers, he turns it once, he turns it twice, he gently breaks its neck, and then he lifts it to his lips, and there's that trembling expectation, then that stinging sweet surprise as it fills up to his eyes, as it overflows in icicles, burning down his cheeks, as it burns his fucking heart out, and leaks into his lungs, and tickles open pores, and wakes up last night's ginger wine to come and play some more. And all his mother's love, and all his father's Christian fears won't be enough to call him back tonight. Won't be enough to call him home. Because home is where the heart is. And that's one place Mr. Descartes can't bear to be on his own tonight. He can't bear to be alone tonight with a phone that's forgotten how to ring and blinds that never open, where the only words ever spoken are in bad English, in bad dreams. And sometimes it seems even his memories are tired. And if he knew what it would take to wake them, he wouldn't have what's required. What are they good for anyway? Memories, they just hang around the flat and gather dust and scare the cat, remind you of things. And so he walks alone and he sings about 1,000 tears for my darling this morning and 1,000 tears today. She makes me smile as I remember her calling 1,000 miles away. 1,000 tears for my darling this morning, 1,000 tears today. She makes me smile as I remember her calling 1,000 miles away. Thanks.
Hi, coming up next is 15 Fabulous Minutes with Jacqueline and Steve, and they're off to a wedding expo this week, so that'll be interesting to see. That was back in 2000 or odd, and the repeats of Transport's A Distant Delight continue from 10:30, and then we close up for the night at 10:45. And just a reminder about the CEC report, unfortunately we can't broadcast it here anymore on MELfeed due to some copyright issues that plague that program every time we broadcast it. But if you want to see the CEC report, you can see it on cecost.com.au, where you can see the series week by week. And if you're in Melbourne, Adelaide or Perth, it is also broadcast on community TV, but visit the website for further details on when it's broadcast, or watch it on YouTube soon after its premiere on C31 Melbourne each week. Anyway, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed.video, a different sort of TV.
episode of 15 Fabulous Minutes. I'm Jacqueline Shields, and I was reading this week that I'm destined to find my soulmate according to my horoscope. Well, in preparation for that amazing event to occur next Saturday, I'm here at the Melbourne Wedding Expo.
Oh, just preparing for my next modelling job. And we're here at the Wedding Expo, and we're going to show you some steps in preparation for getting ready to get married.
One dilemma facing the modern day bride is whether to buy or whether to hire the wedding dress. Terry here, who's been married for 15 years and consequently knows exactly what she's talking about. Had you your time again, would you buy or would you hire?
Well, I think a lot of brides, you know, do have that choice, and it's great to have a variety and decide, well, if you want to hire, you can just pay for the hiring. We alter the gown for you, and then you just return it. So you don't have the problem of spending $2,000, $3,000.
Is it a special hiring, though, you know, than buying your own dress?
It is still special because we do have a unique variety, and we do have quite a range in the hire as well as sale. So you still do have a choice. A lot of brides think if they're buying, they've got more variety, but not necessarily.
What about cost, though? How much does it cost to hire a wedding dress as opposed to buying one?
Well, you could pay about $600 to hire, and that would include your alterations, as well as a hoop hire and so forth, and all the fittings. So it is quite viable. And then, of course, you just return the gown.
Fantastic.
Do you always find you're always the bridesmaid and never the bride?
She does.
You do? Oh, what's wrong? Have you got a husband yet?
No.
Not even a boyfriend? No. Not even... So what brings you here?
I'm going to be the bridesmaid.
Again? How many times is this?
No, this is only my first time.
Okay. Do you find you want to get your claws in there and just rip it to pieces because you're never going to get married? No?
Nah, not really.
And when are you getting married?
7th of April next year.
Oh, an April wedding. And who's the lucky man? Or should I say the unlucky man?
No, he's lucky. He's over there somewhere.
So what made you get married?
Because we're in love.
Don't you just know they're going to say that every time? And how did he propose to you?
He took me out for dinner and then took me up to a lookout and proposed to me up the top of a lookout.
Oh, he's so romantic. Did you go a week at the knees? I'm getting there now. It was your idea. So you're behind the plot, are you?
Yep, she's my best friend, so she deserves the best.
So do you sort of feel like you're a bit left out on the shelf, maybe?
Not really.
No?
No.
What's your ideal husband?
Oh, God. I don't know, someone that you can love and trust and really good communication and everything.
Look into the
like
camera
that.
when you say that. Dial date service number 885. Take 3.
The Melbourne Wedding Expo covers every facet of a wedding, right down to the finest details, down to the signing of the wedding certificate. And I'm joined by Helena, who has something for the most important signature of your life, and that's a quill.
Yes, it is. It's a beautiful set. It's a quill and inkwell set. It's quite traditional and very glamorous and grand, so it appears to be very popular with brides.
Now, why is a big pen just doesn't quite fit the bill?
Well, it really doesn't. The day is a very grand day, and this is very much in keeping with it. They get the opportunity to get a long shot of the signing, whereas most of the time to capture the actual signing with a small pen, it's a very close-up shot.
It certainly has a lot of colour to the table too, doesn't it?
It does, it does. It's very glamorous, very stylish. I have a really interesting story where one couple had a RSPCA logo on their pen, and it wasn't until after they got their photos back they realised, and it was just horror. So she recommends everyone. She's my biggest referral customer.
Well, Jacqueline doesn't actually know this, but I'm going to secretly propose to her because she is the love of my life. Not that she actually ever knows it, but choosing the ring is one of the hardest things to do. And can you tell me what sort of ring and what kind of price bracket am I going to be looking for the love of my life?
It depends how much you love her. $10,000 isn't much if you love her.
Well, what would you get for $10,000? That's cheap. is it?
Only 1 month's salary. Yep.
Only 1 month's salary. Now, that's a diamond. What about other things like blue sapphires or a Lady Diane replica or something like that? How much would that be worth?
7,200.
7,200, and the other one was worth 9, and this looks better.
Stone, it's a Selenese sapphire.
Oh, what's well, I want it to be really, really special, and I know it's the guy's role. I think I'll have to talk to the mother-in-law about this one and get some cash funding. What's the nicest ring that you have here?
Let us have a look. Now, David is a very, very brave man. David, congratulations. You popped the question and she's obviously said yes, otherwise you wouldn't be here today.
That's right.
Now, where did you actually propose?
At home one evening.
What, in front of neighbours?
No, it wasn't actually. No, it was a bit of a funny story. Jo loves watching, my partner loves watching one of her favourite shows, The Simpsons. Had tried to drag her out that night, refused. So after The Simpsons finished, she proposed, turned off the TV and got down on one knee and proposed then.
Fantastic, how romantic. There you go, modern day love. Now, how have you found today's wedding expo? Have you got any ideas?
Yeah, very useful. It can be very difficult to know who you go and see, when you go and see them, where they are, what sort of services they offer. So something like this helps you see them all in one place at the one time. So you can all sort of ask your questions and you get to see what different people are offering. We've booked our reception and booked our church, so we're more looking now at the photographers and the entertainment. So you get to see what sort of photographers, what they're going to offer, what the package involves, what type of packages they've got, all those sort of things.
Of course, one of the many things you need to organise for a wedding is, of course, the photographs, the last thing and the memory that lives forever. And how expensive is it to set up a portfolio for a wedding?
To set up a portfolio for a wedding, what would it cost the couple? Basically about $2,000. If they're budgeting and they're looking at completing the entire start to finish, including the proofs, that will also give them their album. We incorporate their proofs into the album, so it also saves on their costs. And it also includes blow-ups as well. It tends to be the three basic essentials that couples are after. Proofs, album, all size, about $2,000.
$2,000, and you get a print on the wall?
Yeah, you get 3 prints on the wall. We've incorporated proofs into those frames there to try to show that you can incorporate your proofs in other aspects.
Now, do you choose the location, or do they have a choice in where they want the photos to be done?
I think everybody has an idea of where they want to be photographed. It's a case of guiding them through the time frame from the end of the ceremony to the start of the reception and see what will fit in.
Is there anything that can't be done?
No, not really. I think anything can be done.
So whenever an ugly bride out there, I wonder, you go, oh my God.
Brides are beautiful.
They are, aren't they? That's not. Why is it the brides come up beautifully and the guys are just guys in a suit?
Guys get it so easy. I think all through life, guys get it easy. We don't have to give birth or anything. It's fantastic.
We just.
What about the cake?
Actually was going to be given by a member of the family as a present, so we're hoping that will happen.
You're hoping it's going to be chocolate?
Probably.
Well, I think I found a cake store to warm the cockle of any bride's heart, and that is the Mud Cake Specialist of Melbourne. So you don't have to go to the traditional fruit cake anymore, Karen.
No, it's a sweet you eat at the wedding, and it's definitely to be enjoyed at the reception, not taken home in your pocket, and it's ideal for coffee or as the dessert.
Fantastic. Now, I'm just wondering, how much does the average wedding cake cost? We've got some gorgeous cakes around here. They're looking so sumptuous.
Oh, middle of the range is about $300. And they can be as less as $95 right up to $800. It just depends how many people you're having at the reception.
Why does a cake cost so much? I mean, $300 for a cake, that's quite an outlay.
It actually takes...
For a chocolate cake?
It actually takes 3 days to make. The first day comes hot out of the oven. We glaze it with a sugar bourbon syrup. The second day it's masked with ganache, which is melted chocolate cream and liqueur. And the third day it's topped with ivory white chocolate. And then we start preparing your sugar flowers. That's where the expenses are. The sugar flowers last forever. We start that 3 months before the cake is ordered.
Right, and what sort of cakes are the more preferred ones? Are it love heart-shaped cakes or the 3-tiered ones?
There's definitely three that are definitely the most popular. That's the Victoria Jane over here that looks like a Victorian hat.
Oh, right.
And the Amelia, which is here, and that's like a Victorian hat also. And anything with a cupid or gold accessories, it's very, very popular.
Jacqueline, I've got something to tell you. That's why I brought you here tonight.
Dave, you shouldn't have.
Oh, please, it's no trouble. Will you take my burger ring?
You're all style, Steve. I have to say, you're all style.
It fits. Fantastic.
Well, I can tell you a bit about Ciroc. Ciroc is modern partner dancing, combining Latin, jive, rock and roll, ballroom and dirty dancing. For today's music, very easy to learn, and it's great fun, very social, and it's a really important part of everyone's wedding day. So,
even I can do it.
Look at this, 2 seconds of lessons and he's dancing on the floor like an expert.
How important is this for a wedding, to look really good and sharp?
Well, I think it's important that you feel really comfortable with your wedding and that you actually do so much in detail for every other element of your wedding. Why not look special for your dancing as well? And it's a good way to actually keep your audience captivated as well.
A Chevy and a Cadillac are certainly two fantastic ways to get to your wedding, but hey, can you go past a Rolls Royce? What a great way to travel.
No, you have to be the Queen on your wedding day, or the Princess.
You'd be feeling like royalty, wouldn't you? As a chauffeur, how do you find the reception is on the road to the bridal car?
Well, people are quite rude, really. If you're travelling in convoy, they always try to get in the middle, break it up.
Really, I'm surprised. I would have thought people would be really happy for other people, you know, they found the love of their life and celebrating their happy day, maybe tooting and honking and well-wishing.
Yes, they do all that, but they also seem to think that it's a bit of a game, that you must break up the convoy and get in between the bridal cars, and this happens all the time.
Do they shout out other things that maybe not so complimentary to the bride and the groom?
Yes, they do, like you poor bugger, or if you don't want her, I'll have her, or why did you marry him for, or something like this, yes.
I'm just wondering about traditions with the cars and marriages. What about the just married and the tins and stuff and covering the car in all sorts of paraphernalia? Does that still go on?
No, it doesn't, no, because probably everybody leaves in a hire car now, and they're very expensive cars, so people don't want them with writing on them and things like that.
So no graffiti in the cars?
No.
Okay.
Well, reality bites, and it bites damn hard, because once you get married, you're going to have to realise she's going to take over the decorating. Floral pillows are going to be in, the lace is going to be in, and she's going to make you pull down your Al McPherson posters off your wall. Really think hard about getting married, because when the wedding's over, this is what you really have to put up with. I think I need a divorce.
Busy, busy, busy here at the expo. Lots of things to win as well, like wedding photography. Wouldn't that be great? Save $2,000 and not have to pay for it. And how are you enjoying your day?
Oh, we just got here actually.
Okay, yeah. You're busy already.
Oh yeah.
It's expensive business, a wedding, isn't it?
Helpers.
Okay, who are they? Your bridesmaids?
That's right.
Rosanna.
Rosemary.
How do you choose how many to have? Does it depend on cost or your friendship?
No, not cost. It's just who you want in there, I guess.
Okay, I'm just wondering, are you going to have a traditional white wedding?
I don't think so.
No? Why not?
Long story. Long story.
So, for example, what sort of wedding dress are you going to wear?
I have no idea.
Right, it's going to be white?
I don't think so.
It's going to be red, isn't it? You're a scarlet woman.
No, I don't like red.
You don't like red?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay, so decisions. And what we're now looking at is the wedding bouquet. Have you decided what sort of flowers you want for the wedding bouquet?
I'd actually like the white tulips, so I was interested in getting a price on those.
Why not the classic roses?
Because I'm going with a modern theme with my bridesmaids, so I wanted to tie in a certain style of flower to match the dresses.
So basically you get the bouquet and the bridesmaids?
Yeah.
And they've all got to look good.
It has to all tie into an overall theme, and I think, roses are beautiful and classic, but they're going for a more traditional type of wedding, so I'm looking for a more modern theme.
What about gerbras?
Yeah, I do like gerbras, but I've got a lot of different colours happening, so I wanted just to stick with the classic and go with white and a bit of greenery.
So flowers are very, very important, would you say?
Oh yeah, they can really set an image for sure.
Okay, Nella, I need some help. You're a wedding consultant?
We are, yes, we're wedding consultants. So
Got a woman in my life and I want to propose to her. What's the best way?
best way, or romantic, yeah.
And you can help set up a table and do all that?
We can do the whole lot right through from the initial concept and ideas through to the actual day and the putting together of absolutely everything, linen, candelabra, wedding flowers, stationery.
That sounds like a lot of work.
Oh, very
So you're
intense.
the one-stop shop, really?
We are the one-stop shop.
And how much would something like that cost?
Well, it just depends what sort of... We're working with any budget that
I
the
got
customers...
$50 on me.
Well, you won't get much for $50.
Yeah, I know, but make it good.
We'll get the best out of your $50 that we possibly can.
Okay, what's the average price for a wedding setup?
Probably these days, most people are spending between $1,500 to $2,500 on their wedding setup, based on probably 100 people.
That's just for the reception?
That's just for the reception.
Not including the cake?
Not including the cake, so just for the decorative stuff. So what you see here today, from the stationery to the linen hire, candelabra, flowers and that sort of thing.
That's big business.
Yeah, it is.
And
Well,
is it
getting
fun?
married is
Do you get to, every wedding's obviously different and there's a different theme to every wedding, so...
Yeah, we meet so many interesting people, lots of interesting people from all walks of life.
Do you do, as well as wedding parties, do you do divorce parties?
No, but that's the market that we want to get into.
Oh, really? So you con them into getting married and then you say, come see us later.
And then we'll do your divorce party
Yeah,
at the
got a
divorce
great idea
works.
for that.
Yeah. Now, Tanya, you're here at Paper Mache looking for invitation paper, no doubt?
Yes, yes.
And that's for your wedding, which is coming up shortly?
Yes, April next year.
God, planning?
Yes, got to be organised.
Why did you start so early?
Just to make sure I don't miss out on anything, get everything that I want and organise it all.
Now, what do you think you're looking for in invitations?
I actually like the floral printed background ones with the sheer sheet over the top with all the different printings on it, but there's just so many different designs. You sort of change your mind every page you turn. So
Is it an important part of preparing for a wedding?
I think it is. I think it's one of those little finishing touches that just people look at it and just go, oh, that's really nice. It's nice to have it all coordinating and matching together and that. So
Now, it's obviously a great deal of fun organising a wedding, but must be quite stressful regarding who are you going to invite?
Yes, well, we've started a list already, and
The A list?
yes.
Have you stricken anybody off that list yet?
No, not yet. No.
It's all too much for... It's the girls' day out, isn't it? No,
Oh, okay. Yes, it is. It's the girls' day out.
You look a bit over it.
it's, you know, getting to that stage where basically you walk around, you see so much of the same thing that you don't know. They're all just too beautiful.
Well, when are you getting married?
In August 18th.
So you doing anything, or is it, you know,
well,
you're just sitting back going, yeah, take the wallet?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it the Woman's Day more than your day, or?
It is the Woman's Day.
So why are you getting married then? Don't say love.
Nah, you got to make them happy.
Yeah.
You've got to make them happy. You've got to let them choose. And I mean, I do my choosing as well as what she is, but I guess she chooses more than what I do.
Is the wedding the most important thing about a marriage, though?
Not really. I don't think it is.
So why do we spend so much time and emphasis on it?
It's that special moment.
That special moment?
That's just what it is, just a special moment.
I know this is a personal question, but how much money would you spend, or have you spent on a wedding? On your wedding?
So far? So far about 10 to 15.
10 to 15,000? Yeah. And has there been fights over that?
Not really, no.
No? A big Turkish family?
Yeah.
How many people are you inviting?
700, 600.
700? No. Well, there you go. Well, stick to 10 and maybe it'll cost you a little less. But that's big money. And that's, you must love her, something chronic.
Look at her.
Just look at her. Where is she? Do you feel special?
Yes, I sure do.
And you're not Turkish yourself?
No, I'm not. I'm Macedonian.
Macedonian. Oh, you're blending the countries here too, which actually didn't get along very well during the history of war. So how hard is it to organise your wedding?
Oh, it's all right.
It's all right?
A bit of a challenge, but it's pretty good.
You doing it all yourself, or is Mum helping out?
You've got the family helping as well.
Carolyn is the last of 4 sisters just about to tie the knot. You excited?
I am. Very excited.
Now, I'm just wondering, it must be pretty tricky because they've probably all got great ideas.
I didn't think this could happen in Toowoomba. And then I saw it on TV that night. It really opened my eyes.
Whenever the community comes to us and says we need your help, we do whatever we can to assist.
It is a great feeling to be able to help your neighbours, to be able to help your community.
Each Lions member and each Lions club in different parts of the country, we're totally different. But we have core values that are the same. They remain the same for any Lions member and any Lions club anywhere in not just Australia but around the world.
Anything that you can think of that you want to do and support and help, Lions are doing it right now somewhere in this world.
I think Lions need to tell their story. They need to let people know the amazing things that they do.
The 3 major streams that we have in Lions are the community service that we do for the public, health and medical research, and the disaster relief.
We're out there to help people. If you love helping people, get out and help them. Join a Lions Club.
We started this project about 20 years ago. All this gear would normally go to the tip. We recycle it and give it to someone less fortunate and where it is needed in the world.
Being a Lion here in Australia means that I can make a difference to my community. But most importantly, it's inspiring other people to get out and be part of their community and make it a safer and a much happier and better place to live.
Childhood cancer, I've always been interested in cancer and small children from the time I first got cancer 30 years ago. Research is an indefinite item. You can't see it, but it helps so much.
I'm here managing the money and the relationships, but other people are out there raising funds and bringing in community support. Without all of us working together, we can't affect change.
2 more extra hands at any function, any working bee, anything we do, 2 more hands can help us raise more funds, can help us serve our community better.
I went to my Lions Club and I said, I got this idea and I think it's a little bit crazy, but I think we could raise some serious money doing it. And it was to run 100 kilometres. And the club said, okay,
if you want to do this, whatever you need us to do, we'll be there 100%. And I'm pretty proud to say that together we raised just over $16,000. So we blew the target out of the water, and I think that was due to a lot of the support that I got.
Through my leadership training and all that, I've learned about thinking global and acting local, and Lions Club is definitely that kind of thing. They act within their communities, but the money that they raise can often end up in any corner of the world.
As an individual, I could only do so much, and whilst it was my burning desire to try and help these people, having an organisation such as the Lions family to call upon to support me and those people that were working with me just made it possible for us to achieve so much more.
You know, after the devastation, to come back into the community, you know, you were shattered by what you saw. You know, no police station, no post office, no petrol station, you know, no kindergarten. There was nothing here.
And all that water with an
I don't know that I've ever seen as much as arrived. There were fridges, washing machines, dryers. There was toasters, jugs, just everything.
To be invited to be a part of Lions just opened up a whole new world to me. A world that provided a structured organisation that could see that the hours that I volunteered could achieve so much more.
I think Lions is a wonderful organisation. The people in it have charity in their hearts.
I can go anywhere in this country, see somebody with a Lions badge, walk up to them and say, "Good day, you got a friend."
Never once in my life had I had a group of people where I could go to, say anything, and know that no matter what, they would be there, they would stand by me.
It's the family. That's what we call it's the Lions family. Without Lions, I think I'd be lost now because they've been my life.
We work hard, but the most important thing is we have fun.
The fellowship of all the members of the club, the broader community, it's just a tremendous organisation to belong to. You know, I'll be here till I die.
It is extremely rewarding and gratifying to be a part of an organisation that can spread its support so far and wide.
More members means more hands, means more support to the community.
I would encourage everyone just to give it a go and see if it is for them, because the return that you get for giving to others is amazing.
Get out there, do something wonderful, be part of this fantastic organisation.
Sport is for everyone.
No matter who you are or where you're from,
there's no place for discrimination in sport.
And everyone should feel welcome, safe,
respected and get a fair go.
Whether you're a player, a spectator, a coach or an official.
What do you want from your sport?
Are you ready to make a difference?
Sport is for everyone.
And everyone starts with you.
Keep your sport inclusive,
safe, fair and fun.
For more information, go to playbytherules.net.au.
Live streamed from Echuca each week, this is MELfeed Video, a different sort of TV.
I'm Lynn Strauss, chairman of our organization, the Metropolitan Transit Authority. It's the first anniversary of our combined tram, train, and bus system in Melbourne, known as the MET. 12 months ago, the MET was established to operate and plan the three modes of public transport. It was the government's intention to ensure that the traveling public got better service and that we as employees could feel a sense of pride in the work that we carried out. I can tell you, we're on the right track. Along with the new trains, we're changing the face of our stations. The famous clocks of Flinders Street will stay, but Melbourne's pride and joy is being updated. Outside, the famous facade has been cleaned and painted to bring it back to the way it was when it was first built. Bus services are very much a part of the total transport system. and in Box Hill, St. Albans, Ringwood, and Moorabbin, schedules and facilities are being reviewed in conjunction with community groups to better serve the neighborhood transport system. Apart from Aussie rules and the Melbourne Cup, there's nothing more closely associated with Melbourne than our famous trams. In the past year, we've made moves to improve them, not the least being the construction of 2 new classes of trams. In the first major change since 1975, the A-Class and the articulated 2000 series are being finished at our Preston workshops. They'll set new standards in spaciousness, safety, and ease of operation. Reflecting the integration of all modes of transport, the livery of our trains, buses, and trams is progressively being changed. With each new vehicle delivery, the Met color scheme, green and gold, is becoming more and more visible. And that Met symbol is not just a fancy design, but a representation about what we're all achieving. An integrated transport system for Melbourne, about people, you, moving people. Thank you for giving me your time and helping to make it happen. Oh, and happy birthday.
Moving Melbourne, moving Melbourne on the roadways, moving Melbourne on the tramways, moving Melbourne on the railways, moving Melbourne our way, the next way. Me and the next, we're moving Melbourne. Get the
OK, Sarah, I'm going to order some pathology tests to see how everything's going.
Half the Australian population had a pathology test last year. That's you or someone you love. 100 tests are performed every minute, delivering vital medical information. From the moment you are born, your healthcare depends on pathology tests. 70% of medical decisions rely on information from pathology tests. Pathology is the engine room of healthcare. One small sample can reveal millions of insights all about you. Pathologists are your doctor's doctor. 25,000 people work to provide doctors with the answers they need to treat you. Australian pathology is world class. We may never meet you, but we see each of you as part of our family. Every minute, 23 Australians find out more about their health.
Good news, Sarah. The results show that everything's OK.
Pathology provides peace of mind.
I rely on Australian pathology.
Sign up online to support Australian pathology.
RSPCA, for all creatures, great and small.
Yeah.
This is exactly what happened last time.
Oh, look, I can't believe they're not running in.
Trying.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can you believe he works here with us?
But did you hear about what he did last week? Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, hang on, he's coming.
Hey.
Hey.
Okay, you got two.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, look at him. That guy's a freak. Can you believe it? He won gold in the 100. Legend.
They say there's a chance I could die in a car crash. Maybe even from heart disease. Maybe even skin cancer.
I could die in a work-related accident, or I could die in a fight.
The fact is, the biggest cause of death for men in my age group is suicide.
Please don't let this happen to me.
You can do something. Lifeline believes that suicide is mostly preventable. Help us save lives. Find out what you can do at lifeline.org.au.
MELfeed Video is about to close operations for tonight, but we'll be back with you next Monday evening. In the meantime, here is a selection of programs that will be seen on our next scheduled web stream. You're welcome to visit our website at MELfeed.video for further details of this project. Until next time, from all of us here at MELfeed Video, we wish you a very good night.